Welcome to Martini Time, this nice, very beautiful snow-covered day in Virginia. In Blackstone, Virginia, the center of the world. But then you too are at the center of the world. Think of that as the difference between an atlas flat map and a GPS map. On the atlas map, you're like an ant crawling on the map, going from here to there. But in the GPS map, you're the center of the world, and the world moves around you. So I titled this talk, wait a minute. Can't forget to get a little gas here. I titled this talk, Following the Dharma Trail. And I need to speak a little bit about Dharma because I don't understand it. But speaking about it helps me understand it. You know, you've heard that if you teach something, if you want to learn something, teach it. So if you want to learn Dharma, teach it. So anyway, where should I start? Following the Dharma Trail reminds me of Roy Rogers. But anyway, the Dharma, just to give you my brief understanding, is a Sanskrit word, and it primarily means in its old term was duty. Your Dharma is your duty. It also means teaching, the teaching of the Buddha. Buddha taught, it was Sakyamuni Gautama Buddha. Buddha is not a person, it's an awakening, it's a verb, an awakening. Eureka, that's a Buddha. So Siddhartha Gautama was a person who attained Buddhahood or awakening, and he taught in Virginia. He taught in northern India for about 45 years, and I think he awakened thousands of monks. It was a monastic tradition, and everybody, of course, monks, yogis, recluses, renunciates was a tradition in India. Unlike it is here. And so all of his followers became monks. And he awakened people. And when he died, they remembered what he wrote, and it was an oral tradition. They had fantastic memories. And they remembered what he wrote, and eventually it got written down and became the sutras, or the teachings. And they are compressed little teachings of the Buddha, compressed because it's easier to remember. So the Buddha Sutras are kind of like cotton balls in that it's compressed teaching, and when you study it or work with it, it begins to open up. And opens up, you see. So you have to open up the Dharma, this teaching, in order to make it living. So Dharma is then the teachings of the Buddha, and that's objective meaning in the sense that you could read the scriptures, and that's objective. I mean, you pick up a book and read it. That's a thing. That's an object. So you study the object. And then you study the words, and the words are objects of the mind, so you study that, you see. That's an objective meaning. But the subjective meaning is also there, which is the awakening of the teaching as you. So you begin to become the teachings, not in the sense that you become a Buddha, because the teachings are living. So I know when people go watch a movie, I remember the first time this happened was the Rocky Horror Show, I guess, and it was a cult, rock musical, and people would go and they memorize the lines, and they would wear props from the movie, and they would sit in there and repeat the movie as it speaks. And if you watch something, you watch it and watch it and watch it, you begin to speak the movie as the movie is being spoken. Now this is the kind of like the union of the object and you as subject, and if you study it and you work with it, you begin to merge with it and begin to see it from the inside. So the Dharma trail then is not following something, while it is, at the same time it's becoming something. There's a difference. And that's why Krishnamurti and a lot of the non-dual teachers say truth is a pathless land. There is no path to truth. And Joseph Campbell said that. He described it in the Arthurian romances when the knights had a vision of the Grail, which was a vision of Dharma, and they wanted to have a quest to find the Holy Grail, which is a metaphorical way, a quest to become Buddha, a request to awaken the Buddha within. You see, Buddha is not an object. Buddha is Buddha nature, and we all have Buddha nature, or potential, full potential of awakening consciousness. It's all very simple. Awakening full consciousness, full awareness would be the Buddha within. So anyway, the knights go out on the quest, and they all go to the woods, and they enter the forest where no other one has been. Each one goes on the quest by creating their path themselves, you see. In other words, they don't follow somebody's path to the Holy Grail, they create it. And of course, then the Grail stories are about Sir Percival, who was the pure-hearted knight who found the Grail. He had a quest, he had to go through trials and tribulations to awaken. It's all about awakening. So Dharma is all about awakening to what, you see? Oh, to some enlightenment? No, not at all. It's awakening to being here. It's awakening to not being separated from yourself. I know that's why I started on this trail. I'm 81, and I started, I guess, back when I left high school and discovered that I didn't know who I was and what I wanted to do. So I went to University of Virginia with the idea I was going to be a doctor, you see, but it took me one semester to realize that I had no heartfelt desire to be a doctor. So I became a drunk. It was easy at UVA. Anyway, I left and joined the Navy, kind of like the Foreign Legion, to find out who I was. And I found out I didn't want to be in the Navy. So I went through, my life has been a quest for who am I? Who am I, you see? And there's an objective quest, like I want to be a stockbroker. Well, okay. Or I want to be a mother. I want to be a father. I want to be an explorer. These are all objective quests. But the Dharma trail is a subjective quest. I want to know who I am. Not who I am as an object. That's the quest on the external path of society. You go to school to become an object or a role, you see. You go to school to become something, you see. To become something, you see. But the Dharma path is to discover your no-thingness, you see. Your awareness, your consciousness, which is no thing. Consciousness is no thing. You can't find consciousness. You can't see it. You can't pick it up. Can't put it in a bottle. But that's who you are, your consciousness. What is it? And as long as I try to find it, I keep tying myself in a straitjacket, like a straitjacket. The more I struggle to find it, the more I struggle, the greater the tension and the suffering becomes. So it's kind of like a Zen koan or puzzle, you see. The Dharma path is constantly tricking you and tying you in knots that you have to figure out and break free of. Not from strength and not from intellect, no, but from realization. So the Dharma path becomes a life of traps, perfect traps, double binds, dilemmas, dramas. Some last decades. I know my early ones did. And when I get in one now, it just lasts a few minutes. Maybe, maybe I'm in a little bit of a thing for a day. Trap for a day. But it breaks free. It melts. The ice is melting now. When it warms up, it begins to melt. And we're no longer frozen as a thing, as something, you see. We begin to melt and become fluid with our life. We begin to be aware as our life. Instead of aware of our life, I begin to be aware as my life, which is experience. So I begin to be my experience. Instead of resisting experience, like I shouldn't be irritated. I've been on this path for a long time. I shouldn't be angry and all of these. I shouldn't be this. I shouldn't be that. You see, that's being divisive. That's separating myself from my own experience. I don't like it. I want to get rid of it. I shouldn't be this. You see. So the Dharma path is realizing the trap, seeing the trap, and surrendering. And surrendering is not letting go, because somebody has to let go. So there's nobody there to let go. This is the big thing to realize too. Well, let go. Well, just let go of it. Well, that's not the Dharma path, because somebody has to let go of something. That's duality. I have to let go of this experience. That doesn't end separation. That just complicates it. Now I try to let go. The more I try to let go, the more I keep it. It's kind of like try to stop thinking of a monkey. You know, you can't try to be spontaneous. Surrender is spontaneous. The Dharma path, then, is the awakening of your spontaneity. And spontaneity is creativity. Life is creative. When you are full of life, you're creative. In whatever doesn't mean you're going to be Van Gogh. It just means you're going to relate to your experience, what's happening, creatively. You respond instead of react, you see. So whatever happens, you're responding creatively. You might be with amusement. It might be with a joke. It might be with an insight. It might be with how to fix something. It might be how to solve a problem, like MacGyver. This is a model. MacGyver is a metaphor for a creative response to life. Whatever fix he's in, he makes a tool out of whatever he's got, you see. So the Dharma trail is very practical, it's very simple, and it's something everybody wants. But in our Western culture, everything is objective. Everything is a thing. So we're always looking for it as a new thing. What's new? How do I get that? How long does it take me to get there? What do I have to do? I got to do yoga, meditation, all these things. How long will it take? What are the obstacles, you see? This time. I'm here and I want to get there. That's dukkha. When the Buddha said the cause of suffering is dukkha, D-U-H-K-H-A. It means separation. Separation from your own experience is the suffering that we want to get out of by, in our objective world, by getting something. You know, in the Dharma trail, it's by seeing. Seeing is the Dharma trail. Seeing, aware, not doing anything, aware. Aware. I see. I see the whole thing. That's Gestalt psychology was based on that. You see the whole room instead of just part of the room with your intellect and your flashlight and your memory and your habitual mind, you see. So the Dharma trail is about melting our habit mind. The Dharma trail is like the melting snow out here right now. And I just... The Dharma trail is about finding leaks, too. My roof is leaky in I have a little downstairs bathroom, and there's snow piled on it, and so apparently when the snow is melting, it's finding a hole and leaking in the bathroom. Okay, so that's the Dharma trail there. You found a leak, and it's not like, oh my God, I've got a leak. It's just a leak. So, okay, following the Dharma, I wanted to remind you that all of my talks, what I write on Facebook and my live talks here, are on my blog, which is tokillaminotaur.com. Minotaur, Minotaur. To kill a minotaur. Remember, to kill a mockingbird? Well, a lot of times I'll say to kill a mockingbird because that's on the tip of everybody's lips instead of to kill a minotaur. But that to kill a minotaur is about the myth of Theseus and the minotaur and Ariadne's thread and the labyrinth, a great Greek myth that explains the Dharma trail. And another thing I wanted to mention, that if you're on the Dharma trail, you need to follow a teaching, something that resonates with you. And I've been following the teaching of Rodney Smith, who is a retired now insight meditation teacher, online at the Seattle Insight Meditation Center, SIMS, or Society, Seattle Insight Meditation Society, sims.org, Rodney Smith. And you go there, all his talks are recorded, audio and DVD, and all the other teachers that come here. And he has built this insight meditation center in Seattle, which attracts all these teachers. I live here in Blackstone. Nobody comes here. So I'm kind of like at an outpost here, like the last Jedi. I'm hiding in some cave here. But these teachings are pure Dharma to insight meditation. And if you go to Barnes & Noble, if you go to the religious section and you look at alternate religions, there might be 2 aisles of Christian stuff, and there might be one shelf, one little square of other religions, and one of them would be Buddhism, insight meditation. Now, Buddhism, the Dharma, insight meditation is not a religion, but insight meditation comes from Buddhism. So its root is in the teachings of the Buddha. But the American Buddhism is primarily insight meditation, which includes mindfulness, meditation, and a practice of Dharma in your everyday life. So you can become kind of like a Buddhist monk in civilian clothes. Nobody knows. You're a Jedi, you see. Nobody knows. So I would recommend, and I followed or read or studied Eckhart Tolle for years. I'll become a Tolle center. Well, I got 40% discounts on his tapes, but nobody came to the center. As I remind you, I live here in Blackstone. So, but anyway, I had so I would listen to tapes every day, and I would read his books, and then I started writing on his quotes. I bought a couple of coffee table box quotes. You turn over a quote every day, and I'll write on it, and I call it Meditations on Eckhart Tolle, and that's a website page, Meditations on Eckhart Tolle, and so I write on that every day, and that's my Dharma practice. I don't study Tolle. I look at something he quote, and I write a creative response to it. So I dance with Eckhart Tolle. I don't say just memorize what he said, and somebody talks to me about it, I just repeat what he said, like it's scripture. I've gotten beyond that now, in the sense that the Dharma, when I write, the Dharma comes through me like a fountain pen. I just put the fountain pen there and start writing, and Dharma comes out. In the same way with this talk here. This live talk for me is like writing. So this is a Dharma talk. It's a Dharma talk because I'm talking about Dharma. And it's not scripted. It's not planned out and studied and referenced like a Presbyterian sermon where you spend a whole week writing it, connecting your references and your spiritual things and connecting all of your, making it rationally perfect and all that. No. Dharma is just doing it. You just trust that it'll flow out. So Dharma is trust. Trust in yourself. Trust that you're okay. And the world is okay. And this is a great place to be. So thanks for dropping in.